What's happening, guys? It's Mike Silver Dragon Channel. Ultimates number 10. It's a book I wanted to talk about tonight. It's kind of late to the party, and get out of here, cat. And finally getting around to do this review. But finally, I made some time, so I want to talk about it. This has been one of my favorite Marvel books. And this issue here definitely brings all the intensity, all the action that Dennis Camp has been giving us these past 10 issues. It was a really good one, and I wanted to talk about it. There's a lot of kind of people been out of shape about some parts of it. So I wanted to go ahead and review the whole issue as a whole before. That way you can see what the whole book is instead of just seeing cherry-picked pages or panels or whatever. So this is our team right here, pretty much. It's got an introductory page. And just right at the gate, the very first page, Hitler being burned alive. And that just sets the tone for this whole issue right here. Just an incredible page here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 horizontal panels of Hitler being burnt alive. And as we're seeing this page, and we turn over to the next page, we see the Ultimates team. They're in a surveillance, kind of like a surveillance mode or whatever. And Jim Hammond, who is the original Human Torch, who is basically a robot, a really sophisticated android, he is reminiscing and kind of telling a story to the other members about him being the one that killed Hitler. And Wasp asks him, so how did it feel? And then he goes into this, kind of talks about how he's an incredibly sophisticated computer and one of the most advanced piece of machine ever. But even still, he's just a computer. So that means as he gets older, he's memorizing, learning more and more things, but the database on the computer doesn't have but so much room, so some stuff has to go. And basically the gist of this little speech here he does is, I've had memories that I really cherish that I've had to delete to continue functioning as the Human Torch. However, the one thing that I have never deleted, and I keep this memory in HD, and is of me the moment I burnt Hitler alive. So Cap tells him, he says, all right, enough talking about killing Nazis. Let's go kill more Nazis right now. So enough of living in the past. We're right here in the present. And a lot of people are really bent out of shape about this bit of dialogue here that Steve Rogers has. All right, enough reminiscing about the good old days of killing Nazis. We've got to kill some right now. And a lot of people got really bent out of shape about that and said that's not a line that Steve Rogers would say. Steve Rogers is someone who protects life at all cost. And that is true. He is a hero, but also he has been someone who was in World War II. He was someone that fought on the battlefield and had to have taken lives. So we can't gloss over that. You know, there was a time in Captain America's history when that part of his story, him being a soldier and having been on the battlefield, was not as prevalent as it is now. But, you know, a lot of that changed with, you know, the Ed Brubaker stuff, where Cap being a soldier on the battlefield was a lot more bigger. They made that a lot bigger part of him than it used to be historically. So now, you know, that's just accepted. So we can't really act like this is totally out of character for Cap. And as we'll see if this issue goes on, all this here is just, you know, I don't want to say lip service, but pep talk, you know, because they don't end up killing anybody in this book. You know, you might see one or two deaths in this book, but even that's up for debate. So in any case, what the Ultimates are doing here is this is it's called Castletown, and it is the home to a hate group, and one that has been causing acts of domestic violence or terrorism across the United States. So through some of the description right here, we find out things about some of the Marvel Universe that we didn't know before. We find out what the role of the Red Skull is here. We see that the Punisher, Frank Castle, was he was alive in this Ultimates universe. He was a 70s police officer, and he fought crime. And so basically what we've seen here is these Red Skulls have taken the skull of the Punisher, and they've kind of turned it into their own symbol. So that's basically where we're at. We're up to speed. The intel here says there's about 1,500 people here, and so the Ultimate's about to start their attack. So they kind of use some stealth, some subterfuge, so to speak. Hawkeye takes out some people with the arrow. Human Torch lays down some smoke cover. Wasp and Ant-Man get really small, go inside their ears, punch on their eardrum to knock them out. So basically it's just the Ultimates group infiltrating this place, kicking some ass. You know, Cap throws his shield. He's knocking out folks. Human Torch says that he's laying down the smoke cover. So, basically now they're at the big headquarters. And Cap has kind of like or not Cap, I'm sorry. Human Torch accesses this old memory of World War II when they were all the invaders fighting together. And this whole issue is really told through Human Torch's perspective, which is the first time we've really had a chance in this book to spend that much time with him, Human Torch, that is. So once they get inside the headquarters, they see Namor here is strung up, looking like some sort of, you know, trophy. He's like strung up as like some sort of trophy case. And then with the Red Skulls here with all his henchmen. And then we get a story about how Red Skull came into possession of the Submariner. And so basically what he tells us is the Submariner was shot dead by his own people as part of a type of coup. But however, his body refuses to disintegrate and decay. And so that's how they end up, and through a bunch of other circumstances, they end up in possession of the body. And he talks about it here. He says, the Red Skull, that is. He said, there's a lesson in there somewhere about symbols and their context. Meanwhile, Human Torch, with his, the fact that he's basically a supercomputer, he talks about how the Red Skull's voice isn't just distorted, it's enhanced, braided with hypnotic suggestions at the frequency of human thought, manufactured charisma, which is part of the reason why the Red Skull is able to have, such control over so many of these people here. So a big fight breaks out. We got really good super heroics or whatever. And then Red Skull calls in basically his big muscle. And this is John Walker, who, if you're familiar with the character in the main line, he is U.S. Agent, and he has been a character. The U.S. Agent has been somebody that has had a... oh, this is really gnarly. I just noticed that. Ant-Man coming out of that guy's mouth. But anyway, John Walker is someone who was the original replacement for Cap. And he is someone that has had his fair share of highs and lows, and is probably viewed mostly as the worst replacement for Cap. He's in the MCU right now, played by Kurt Russell's son, and he's also going to be in the Thunderbolts movie for non-comic book fans. But so he makes his first Ultimates appearance here, and he you see how big he is, and in the dialogue here it says that he's taking some super soldier serum, so he's big and roided out too. He rushes everybody, and then Human Torch basically just says, okay, that's far enough. Jesus, Jim. So, if you were to say that they killed anybody in this issue, you could argue that it was this guy. But however, what we see right here is he's grasping at his face, so that means he's still alive, so he's not even dead. So it didn't even kill him. You've got a couple people here that looks like they're getting burnt. So maybe you could add those to the count if you're someone who was a real stickler about it. And then this is the really big hook on the issue. Cap tells him, he says, "You're not the Red Skull. I killed Johann Schmidt over 75 years ago. Face me." The Ricochet blasts the masks right here. And what we see is the mask has stopped working, and then we hear his real voice right here. And he says, "It was good to see you, Steve." And this look, this expression on Cap's face, that's a sense of recognition. He recognizes the voice right here. And if he says, "It's good to see you, Steve," and he knows who Cap is, and he has a familiarity with the Torch and Namor, then there's really only one person that it can be. Somebody who knows them really well. This young man right here, Bucky Barnes. So it's heavily implied right here that in this issue that this world's current Red Skull is Bucky Barnes, Cap's former sidekick. So basically, at the end of this, what they do is they take Namor's body down. They send him back off the sea, we have this context, or what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't think of when there's no pictures and it's just words. But in any case, we have, this is like something straight out of a Hickman book. Anyway, we have Jim Hammond's thought log. So this is just some reflection about Jim Hammond and his time. And then he says, he being Jim Hammond, he's having a whole lot of moment of reflection right here. And it's bothering him just as much as it bothers Steve that he's recognizing that voice. Voice match. It was good to see you again. Searching. 90%. James Buchanan Barnes. Bucky. So that was the real big hook for this issue right here. And Dennis Camp continues to impress me with this book month in and month out. And if you're somebody who is not reading this book, then I definitely recommend it. It is a very good successor to the previous Ultimates line. It is one in which, Dennis Camp, he has a lot of, he wears a lot of his, the things that are currently going on in our world. He incorporates a lot of that into this book, so it is definitely one that, when you read it, you'll recognize elements of it from things that are going on right now. So he's definitely not afraid to put headlines into this book. But even with that, it's still an incredibly well-written, well-crafted book. The artwork and the story and the dialogue and the plot really play off each other really well. They work in real good. There's a real good cohesion between him, Camp, as the writer, and the gentleman's name as the artist is Juan Frigeri. I knew I was going to, and I'm sure I butchered that, but in any case, do yourself a favor, check this book out. It's on issue 10 right now, so you're kind of far behind, but it does have a little slight recap page right here. So, but I quite enjoy it every month. It's one of the books I look forward to most. So give it a shot. Maybe you can pick up a trade, a couple of issues, and you'll be caught up. If not, go ahead and add it to your pull list. So until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.